Who is that you have sitting on you? I haven't seen her in a little while. Seems to be in a pretty good mood, too.
Yeah, it's Milkshake. I call her Shake Shake. I always go do. My milkshake brings all the girls to the yard.
For all the pets and loves and attentions that a furry creature would get, right? Say hi to YouTube, Milkshake.
Let's see. There we go. Switch her over. So this is Milkshake. She's the cat that almost died. Had the tube in her neck and everything. We got the tube removed, and we're not feeding her through a tube anymore, so that's fun. That we're not doing that anymore because that wasn't fun. But yeah, she's a super lovey cat. She is doing well, rebounding, and it looks like we will have saved her life, and she'll be still here, hopefully for another 8 to 10 years. So just has a little bit of hair to grow out, and she'll be good to go. I just figured I've talked about Milkshake, so I figured I would show everybody Milkshake. So say hi, Milkshake. Hi, Milkshake. Oh, wow. She said something. Very cool. All right, you're going down now.
You can tell she's in those high spirits. I mean, usually she's kind of a diva, doesn't want to be on camera, but she was all about it right now.
That's hilarious. All right, so let's see. Ryan already busts out a question. He says, if I am in the hundreds in arena, should I restart the game? No. So what happens is when you first start, you're way behind the curve, right? That's just the way it works. And it takes sometimes up to a year for you to develop out every character you need to develop out to have the core characters, to start to develop the core characters to actually be able to compete. I have been playing for 3 years, and we have people on my leaderboard that after 3 years have finally developed all the teams they need to develop to get all of the important characters and have just barely started climbing into the top 50 for the first time. And they're just basically Malik away from being caught up to me after 3 years, which is crazy. So I wouldn't start. I think, if you fall back a little bit and all of that, just know that eventually you'll have all those characters. And if you have the fortuitousness to kind of keep going, then you'll be able to keep going, whatnot. So we like to do these live streams, SureShot and I do. We like to start it off with a story and end with a story. Now, I have a story already planned out. Do you have a story?
I think you could come up with something on the spot. I mean, there's a few stories that have been around for a little while, so might have something that would be interesting for people. You want me to go ahead and start that off?
Yeah.
All right. Well, this one is kind of near and dear to me because it's interesting how it started off way back in the day before I was even a twinkle in my mother's eye, and then kind of came back around full circle to be something that ended up actually saving my life. I got into a massive, horrific car accident when I was 14 years old. Well, actually, I guess I was 13 at the time, and then by the time court settlements and all of that, insurance finally settled up and everything, it was about 2 years after that. But basically started off with my great-grandfather buying a truck brand new off the lot, a Chevy C10 pickup. It was a straight six with a 4-speed manual transmission on the floor, so pretty cool old truck, something that I'd love to be able to get and restore one of these days. But he bought it brand new, owned it for a long time. It ended up going to a couple different family members, and then eventually passed on to a family member outside of the family that became a family member after my parents got married. And then after they were done using it, my parents, when they got their first place, decided that they needed a vehicle. So my grandpa, my mom's dad, decided that it was a good vehicle for you guys to start off with. So here, as a wedding present to you guys, I'm going to give you this truck. So fast forward past that point, another, I would say 16 years at that point, because that's about how old my brother was when he got it. He ended up getting it for his birthday because it had been in the family. At that point, it went back to my grandpa for a while. He had put some work back into it to kind of keep it going, keep it restored and all that. And after he got it up to a good running speed, he decided, hey, you're 16 now. This is a good first vehicle for you, so here you go. He had that for about 8 months. And one night when it was time for me to go to my junior high youth group, my brother was driving me, so it was just me, my older brother, and my younger brother, hopped in the truck, headed off to town. It was about a half-hour drive. We get about halfway there and come up to a blind corner where I guess a guy who had just left a bar, who wasn't completely intoxicated, he's under the legal limit, but also had been smoking a little too much on the way too, I guess decided to blow through a stop sign at about 70 miles an hour and meet up with my side of the truck. So if my brother was going anywhere above the speed limit, he would have met up with me perfectly, and I would have been gone. If he was going anything less, we would have avoided him completely, maybe seen the guy blow right through, who knows, but just so happened that on that particular night, we come to that intersection where he just blew right into us. So this is an old 64 Chevy. Now, mind you, back then they actually had shoulder harnesses for you, but just lap belts, but the shoulder harness wasn't on a spring-loaded retractable. It was actually folded up in the side of the A-frame and the A-pillar up there. So if it was something that you didn't think about, you didn't put it on. As far as we're concerned, we all three had lap belts, so we were good to go. But they had a pretty impressive all-steel dashboard. So there was nothing, softening any blows there.
I know where this is going.
So after he hit us at an interesting angle and then spun off and did some interesting maneuvers into the ditch there, we hit basically at that angle. But when you have, two opposing forces come together, not only does it double the amount of force of speed that you're going at, it also afterwards instantly stops you. So we all went flying forward. My brother who was driving caught the steering wheel. My younger brother, who was sitting in the middle, caught the gear shift almost perfectly right on the right eye, and I took that dashboard head on. So if you would go back and see the pictures, not only is it impressive to see just how mangled the truck was afterwards, but you can see off of two pictures, you can look right at the dashboard and see the actual dent in a point of the dashboard that I left with my face. So after a tri-fracture in my orbital arch, which is basically two spots of my cheekbone, and then on the top part of my skull here, which went all the way to the back of my skull, I had not only all those fractures and all the bruising and swelling associated with that, but from that impact, it also caused a subdural hematoma, which is a swelling on my brain. So they go in, they do CAT scans.
Is that what's wrong?
Yeah, exactly. Explains a lot now, right? So they do a CAT scan, come to find out that, oh, look, it's grown. And this is, of course, off of the questioning of my mother saying, hey, we're getting ready to go into surgery for this. Is there anything else we need to worry about? And they're like, oh, no, we should be fine. Nothing too big to worry about there. And she asks about that. And they're like, well, I guess as a precautionary measure, if you want, we can do another CAT scan, but it's kind of redundant. She's like, I'd feel better about that. So did the CAT scan, come to find out that the subdural hematoma had grown, and it was a good possibility I would have had a seizure on the operating table, and they wouldn't have known it since I'd be under anesthesia, and I would have died. So we had to hold off 2 weeks for that. Eventually got to the point where we could have the surgery. They had to go back in and re-break the bones in my face, put them all back together, rebuild my nasal passage, make sure everything else looked good. They put a plate across my eye here and 5 screws in it to hold it all in place. And
Is that still there?
That's still there to this day. You could actually feel the ridges of the screws in my eye. It's like right underneath my eye there. Up a little bit further.
Oh, that's disgusting, dude.
The way I like to describe it is like, if you ever suck on a peppermint for a while and it starts to get those ridges around the edge, kind of feels like that, like rubbing your finger across it. But anyways, all that to say, I'm well and good now and everything's healed up. There was some long-term repercussions from that, but all that to say that one C10 Chevy pickup truck was sitting on that lot that day, waiting to make its way all the way through my family up to where my older brother got it, to eventually be the whole reason why we're all still here, because all the emergency responders claim, hands down, if it wasn't for that truck, any other vehicle would not have survived that kind of an impact, and we would have pretty sure been dead.
Yikes, dude. Yeah, I have heard that story before. That's terrible. There's a lot of car crash stories in my life too, but we're not going to go into a bunch of those. Those are for another story time, but I do have a story that's a funny story. We'll go at the end of the live stream, so there'll be that. Thank you, McTweet. McTweet donated $5, and he says, been watching you for years. You were the first video I watched about Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. It was an in-depth mod guide, and I still refer to it and recommend it. Yeah, that was like the 45-minute video where, so this is the deal, guys. I'm an old dude who doesn't really know how to do electronics, and so I just was learning stuff, and I was just throwing what I was learning out as best I could. And that video was really, really long. It was 43 minutes or 46 minutes long, but there is some really, really good information in that. I do have Ben asking a question. He said he uses CLS currently in Arena, and he wants to know the next direction. Should he go Darth Revan or Jedi Knight Revan? And you need both for Malik, and so that's a really good question. So Jedi Knight Revan actually does better in the raids, including Sith Raid, and it's meta, and it can beat Darth Revan. and it is usable in every area of the game. The characters are also easier to farm than the Darth Revan characters for the most part. So with that said, I would go with Jedi Knight Revan first, and then once you have Jedi Knight Revan, then you could go for Darth Revan. That's just my opinion. Ryan says, after Geos, who should I farm from ships? Well, you should be going for Geos and dark side and light side ships. Rebel ships and then your dark side ships. We're going to go into my ships, and I'll answer that kind of when we go into ships and whatnot. And then we'll go over my characters. I've had a lot of development this last week, a lot of development. I've had some pretty good luck with some fully crafted Carbantis that have dropped, with raids. I've been posting a lot of stuff on Twitter if you follow me there. Let's see. Ryan asks, do I plan to do an explanation for the rest of the pillars? Yes, I do. I think that a lot of people kind of understand it, but if they don't understand it, they kind of trust that there's a logic to it. But yeah, I've planned on doing a video for each pillar so people can kind of understand the why behind each pillar. And then Anthony says, both of us, he tags both of us and says, would you suggest I farm gear? The clones in anticipation, so far the gear, basically gearing them up for a possible legendary event. I don't really know. I wouldn't do the unknown, and I think they might get touched as far as like a rework and maybe some new ads, but I think they're just going to become more viable, kind of like the new Gunray rework. I don't think that there's going to be something that you absolutely have to do. So
Usable again.
yeah, so I'm at 37th in Arena. That's not too bad. I have finally switched over to General Kenobi, and the reason is General Kenobi, I finally got to Gear 9, and at Gear 9 with all the bonus protection that he gets, he's still actually pretty good. I still need to, put some Omegas on him and whatnot, and he's not really that tanky right now, so he's kind of a liability, but Thrawn is also a liability. He's really, really good. So Thrawn's a huge control piece, helps me win. But anytime I go against Revans, which I can beat some of the Revan teams currently, I have to have Thrawn there, but then Thrawn gets targeted first and killed first. And when that happens, I always lose. But if he doesn't get targeted, I win. But he can shut down someone like, Yoda, and then I don't have to worry about actually taking much damage. Yeah, and then for fleet, I'm always, like I said, in the top 10. That's Geos. We did get a question about, what we should be doing on that. So let's look at characters and then ships. We'll start with ships. They're a little faster. So we'll come over here, and the first off is dark side, because you have to focus on dark side ships. You have to have at least 5 of these bad boys, so you need to really focus on getting them 5-star. As soon as you have the capability of farming for Bosk and Houndstooth, you should. It is a slow, arduous, long grind, and it takes forever, and so I would get on that as soon as you can. And it takes a few months to unlock that node, but once you have that node unlocked, you should be going for it. Slave 1 is available since the beginning, and so is Boba Fett. Boba Fett's easy to get. Slave 1 is relatively easy to get, and so you should be farming that ship as a dark side ship. Plus, Boba Fett's required with a Houndstooth to get your Millennium Han's Millennium Falcon. And then, of course, I chose the 3 Geos. I highly recommend the 3 Geos. I feel like they are the 3 singular best ships in the game when it comes to synergy. And other than Millennium Falcon and Houndstooth, those 2 ships are number 1 and number 2 most powerful ships. But the Geos, there's 1 character you got to develop instead of a bunch, and they're super powerful. And aside from like a totally maxed out Houndstooth or a Millennium Falcon, they can beat anything. So really, they'll help you with the early to mid game and part of some of the end game. So that's pretty good. And then TIE Silencer and the Imperial TIE Fighter are 2 that I would recommend as well. The Imperial TIE Fighter and it's relatively easy to get. Good ship, really great Empire synergy, and you're starting to look for some Empire synergy. And the TIE Silencer is a great control piece. You can actually stun people. In fact, pretty much everyone in my top 10 uses the TIE Silencer in some way. We got a quick donation from TB12 is GOAT. It says, looking forward to Fireside Chat 2.0. Super excited. Now, the next time we do the Fireside Chat, what I'm looking for is I'm actually looking for some lapel mics that we could connect to some little boxes that the boxes would then connect to the laptop. And so what would happen is we could have the laptop actually inside, check, make sure everything's working good. It would be inside, and then we'd run it, and then we could go outside and chat without a laptop on us. And we could chat and talk, and it would be better because the lapel mic would help us to each have our own audio without having to share a mic. And the mic I was using was like my crappy mic from a couple years ago. So definitely want to do that. Teals, what's happening, brother? He says, what's going on? So TIE Silencer, Imperial TIE Fighter, Geos, TIE Advanced when you can, Slave 1. The TIE Advanced is Empire as well, so great synergy there. But you can see my focus on dark side is, limited scope. I've got 8 ships basically that I focused on. I didn't try and get the Emperor's shuttle. I just got that because I was farming that specific node. But the Emperor's shuttle's decent. As far as light side goes, you kind of have to farm for rebels. You can look, I've got Ghost, Biggs, Biston, Cassian, Wedge, Phantom. These are the ships. Those 6 rebel ships are the only ones on light side I really focus on. You can see I don't have much of a focus on the others. I got a little distracted early on with Lando's Millennium Falcon, Jedi Consular's ship, and the Umbaran in Clone Wars because I was, they say you got to do 5, and I early on those were the easier ones to get to, and I thought if I could get them to 5 stars faster, then I'll just do those because I was almost impatient. So I would recommend not going off on those guys, just continuing to develop the rebels like I suggest. I did abandon those ships, which is good to focus on these. And Wedge's ship is pretty close to 7 stars, which I have to get for the Chimera when it comes back, and it's coming back soon. So I really need to get Wedge's ship up, and then I have to finish. I got to keep developing like the characters and their gear, and it's just really hard because what happens is you develop all these characters up to like gear 8, and then it all counts against you in Grand Arena. People have a bunch of like 12 gear 12, and you have like 40 gear 8, and it does not help anything. So it's kind of to my detriment, but I do believe in playing this game balanced, and that while it may be a detriment up front, eventually it will pay off in the long run because you'll have all of the right characters and you'll have all of the right characters to farm and gear. The other thing is not everything that you develop has to be fully developed. What that means is you could develop it. For example, Wedge, I could develop him to gear 8, 7 star with his ship at 7 star and probably quit after I get the 7 star Chimera, and that would be okay. So that's kind of the idea, is to focus on some stuff to a point. Some of it you'll have to max out. Like you'll want to max Biggs' ship. You'll want to max, Cassian's U-Wing. Those are really, really great ships. Phantom 2, Ghost, at minimum Phantom 2, you're going to want to max out. But really Rebels are all the only ships you're going to do. Now, on characters, Emperor Palpatine a couple weeks ago, I was able to Zeta. Same thing with Bosk. It was awesome. By the way, Bosk is an easy gear. He's hard to click over to gear 9, but once you've got him gear 9, he goes really fast to gear 10. And when I popped his gear to gear 10, which was pretty quickly, every time I looked at the piece, I was like, oh, I can get that pretty easily. And then gear 10, 5 out of the 6 items were glowing when he popped it. I was able to do 5 out of the 6. In fact, the Carbantes he needed at gear 10 were Mark 4. Which are not the Mark 3s that are actually harder to get. They were just Mark 4s, so he was easy to get. And then the last piece was just that, the hypo syringe. I had like 37 of 50, so I only had to farm 13 hypo syringes, which was pretty easy. And then he's gear 11. So Bosk is looking pretty pimp, man. Emperor Palpatine's pretty good. Thrawn's pretty good. R2's at gear 9. I want to get him higher, but he's kind of a lower priority right now. I got Han Solo to gear 10, which is pretty awesome. I do want to put a Zeta on him. I did Zeta Jolie Bindo, and I got him to gear 10. He was gear 8, so I went gear 9 and gear 10. I've been really focused this week on gear because I found a lot of my characters were like gear 8 and a piece, and they needed to really get into that gear 9 or gear 10. And so I've been hyper focused this week on really getting gear. Same thing with General Kenobi, been focused on him. I also threw Snow Trooper into it because I use him on defense in Grand Arena, but Snow Trooper was still like blue gear. So I kind of needed to focus a little bit of energy into Snow Trooper to get his gear a little higher, because it's kind of pointless to have him on a team if you're not going to, if you're going to make him the weak link, and the whole point is to make him pretty good. So those are my top 2 rows of favorites. You can kind of see very similar to what it has been. Cassian is still in my top because I want to level up his ability on his ship. So he's in there kind of for passive gearing. What I mean by passive gearing is when you're doing raids and Grand Arena and territory battles and blah, 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 you get lots of gear. And a lot of times it glows on a character and you're like, oh, Cassian's got 2 pieces that are glowing now and nobody else needs those 2 pieces right now in favorites. So you go click, click, and you add them to him. Why? Because he's the only one in favorites that's glowing. If you got multiple people in favorites that are glowing, you got to decide who's a higher priority. Zalbar, of course, still trying to get up, and Mission. Mission is surprisingly flying, and that makes me happy because Mission competes with T3, and I don't even have T3 yet. So I've got to get T3, and so I've got to finish Mission to go to T3. Zalbar is a hard node, and he's also in ships node, and I've been kind of doing both from time to time. Sometimes I do his ship only, sometimes I do his hard node only, sometimes I do both when I have extra energy. It just depends on the day. But I have now Yoda as a Zeta, Bastila as a Zeta, Jolie as a Zeta, so 3 Jedi. And then I have Emperor Palpatine and Bosk. So I've got the next 2 Zetas I'm thinking about. Actually, I've got 3 Zetas I'm thinking about. Han Solo, R2-D2, Numbers Crunch. I think both of those, and Han Solos, I think both of those are great, but those are both light side. And I want to try and continue to balance my light and dark side Zetas. So I'm thinking about Veers, because he's gear 10. Right, so I've got a gear 10 Veers right here. I'm thinking of Zetaing his aggressive tactician. It's a unique. It would help with my Empire team when I'm doing territory battles and some of those other things, and it would make this team just even that much more better because they have a percentage chance of getting turn meter. With the Zeta, they just get that turn meter guaranteed, and so it really makes things better. It gives protection recovery as well whenever they're defeated, plus they get offense up chance. It's an increased offense up chance to guaranteed offense up, and then they also get that turn meter, just 50% turn meter. So that's a lot. Protection, turn meter, offense up, and it's all guaranteed once the Zeta clicks. So thinking about this one for dark side to try and keep my light side, dark side, relatively balanced and whatnot. So, my bounty hunters have been really, really good. The last Grand Arena, I actually won. I got first place, and it was this team on defense in the front that actually got me my win. So Bosk leads Zeta, Jango Fett, Dengar, Boba, and Greedo. I really want to get Greedo to gear 9. He's only 1 piece away. Let's see. Side note, the reason why he's gotten the stun cuffs is because there's, at this point, nobody in my favorites that needs stun cuffs.
Oh, lucky.
I know. I'm like, what? I thought stun cuffs were important, and he's the only one that's been begging for them. Of course, this... I've got the raid gear. I've got almost enough for 3 of them for raid gear, but I need this, the hypo syringe, which you get naturally. It naturally comes, so you're fine. And then this, the holo projector. A couple things on the holo projector. If you can save 300 crystals and buy it, it's actually a better deal than trying to farm with 300 energy because the 150 energy should be going towards characters. When you can. But if you spent 300 energy, even if you spent the 50, 50, 50 and another 100, that's 250. That's 4 refreshes. You're probably in 4 refreshes bound to get about 12 of these, 12 to 15. That's still less than it would cost to just outright buy it. And it takes the RNG out of the equation. So this is one of those...
If there's any of my guildmates in here, sorry for requesting those all the time. That just completely answered a question for me as to how I'm going to work those particular pieces of gear out on a regular basis because I need those a lot. And I always request them a lot. So I'm like, well, they're a low enough level piece of gear that maybe there's a few other whales out there that might happen to have a few extra for it. So that's a good piece of information. I think I might be saving crystals for that in the future.
Yeah, there's a lot of mid-grade gear, purple gear that is like 300 or 276 or, and if you tried to farm for those pieces because of RNG, there's a really good chance you'll actually spend more in crystals farming those items than just buying them outright. There are some things like, stun cuffs that you're probably going to need to just farm for and just allow RNG to either bless you or screw you. But because it's so much harder to, who can chunk 1,500 at a time or 1,400 on a time? It's really hard when you don't have a bunch of crystals. But 276 or 300, like sometimes I get to 1,000 crystals or 1,500 crystals saved, and I'm able to kind of buy a couple of those littler pieces. But so there's bounty hunters. They're looking pretty good. Remember, I've got to also develop IG-88. Probably to gear 9-ish, and I've got to do that in Cad Bane as well, sadly, because Cad Bane and IG-88, while they're my lowest priority characters, both of them are needed for ships, and both of them are going to be needed for Han's Millennium Falcon. And bottom line, that's the most important ship to get. But that's down the road for sure. I don't have clone troopers. My droids are looking, meh. I mean, I unlocked Droideka and B1 because of their event. I was playing when those got released. I had a Magna Guard unlocked due to the there was the
Galactic War.
No, it was actually the Bronzium popped, and I got him for free. I got IG-86 the same way, Bronziums. L3. Early on, I was farming for, I thought I wanted her, but I do for smugglers, and I'll show you my smugglers, but she's definitely, she's a tough farm early on. Their gear requirements for her is terrible. K2SO to gear 8 was actually easy. I got him accidentally to gear 8, basically, not even trying. Chopper at gear 8, is stopped because he's terrible on the gear. R2D2 is kind of stopped as well, and you can see I've got really no good droid synergy. For Empire, my 2 or my 3 Empire characters that are really good are Emperor Palpatine, Thrawn, and then Veers. Those are my 3 top, but Darth Vader's kind of up there as Empire, and then Imperial Troopers. If we go there, the Imperial Troopers are actually coming along. I've got 4 of them. I really need Death and Shore Trooper, both of them, but they're really hard to get to, tough nodes to farm. I finally got them unlocked. I could farm for them, but they're in like Pillar 5, so because they're hard to get to. So I'm not too concerned about them right now. I don't need them for anything right now at this second. I don't have to have them for ships. I don't have to have them for my Imperial Trooper team. I really just need a tank. So they're doing all right. I don't have Ewoks. Well, I do. Let's look at them. I am trying to get their stars, right? Because anytime I see them drop in the stores, like the guild store, you got to buy them anytime you see them in the guild store. So anytime I see them in the guild store, I get them. I'm not working on Tebow or Scout. Early on, I got Scout up because he was one of like 8 characters I had, but I haven't developed him since. But I am farming Logray, Poplu, and Elder out of the store because they all 3 do pop in the store, and I got them like 4-star. So
it's interesting to see for each different person I talk to about who pops up in their Bronzium cards, because Ewok Scout 7-starred all the way through without farming whatsoever because of Bronziums. Biggs was a full drop and finished him off with that too, and I think I even got quite a few Boba Fett shards in there, but hearing some of the characters that pop up in yours kind of surprised me because I'm like, I've never seen any shards in Bronzium for me, so just kind of interesting to see where it pops up for you.
Well, I said the guild store, not Bronzium.
Right, well, you see for a couple of
Oh, yeah, for IG, whatever, 100. And then for First Order, the only reason why Kylo Ren Unmasked even got any gear was because of ships. He was one of my first ships to kind of get me up to the top. That stun was really amazing. The rest, I'm just farming because they're in my pillar system, and I'm farming them to get them to 7 stars. And then once I have all of them, to 5 stars or more minimum, and BB-8 comes back around, then I will go ahead and gear them up and try and get, BB-8. But I really want to, this is a lesser priority, even though I'm getting their stars, because I don't have, I can't get BB-8 with that. So just kind of keep casually buying some of those characters' stars to get the rarity, because that's kind of like the ticket to play the game. Let's see. Galactic Republic, of course, is decent because I have Jedi basically, and Jedi share that Galactic Republic tag. A lot of them do. My Geos look good. We know that. We went Imperial Troopers already. Jedi, we know. Night Sisters, I only have 3, and Night Sister, Spirit, and Zombie were both given to me through the events. That Night Sister event, it like gives you shards of the Spirit and the Zombie. And early on, I didn't know this, but early on they give you like 3 to 4 of the shards. In a really easy event, you can take in other characters, and then when you get higher, they do away with that event and replace it with a new event that gives you 8 to 10. So that's kind of cool, because when I was a beginner and had like no good characters, I was still able to get both of these guys unlocked, and that's pretty awesome. Talia was kind of one of your beginner characters, right? So they're all Gear 6. I have not put energy into them, although I started slowly getting some Daka shards from time to time. So Daka, Asajj, and then eventually Mother Talzin. I was trying to farm Mother Talzin and Wicket because I wanted their Zetas, but to be completely honest, it's too much to go for them on the side, and they're further down my pillar system anyway. So even though I was going to kind of try to passively farm them, I just don't ever have enough energy to passively farm the 2 of those. Old Republic's important, right? Because that's what we're going to go for. We're going to go for Jedi Knight Revan first. And so Jolie is only 55 shards away. That's amazing. Mission is on a path to go to 7 stars fast. That's amazing. Zalbar's doing pretty good. So that's good. So really it's Zalbar in T3. The good news is T3 is the cheaper of the 2 in Cantina. And so he'll go faster than even Mission in theory. And so hopefully the next time Jedi Knight Revan comes back around, I'll have it. And with Bastila where she's at and Jolie where he's at, all I really need is Gear 7 T3 that's 7 stars, and then 7 star the other characters, and I'm good to unlock Revan. So because Bastila is so strong and Jolie is so strong, and then Mission and Zalbar, even at Gear 7, are very durable as long as you have their abilities up. And I might get Mission Zeta before that happens. She's on my list as well. She's just light side, but Mission's Zeta is insane. It's really good, and she does really great damage. So there's my Old Republic. Of course, Phoenix are where they were after I killed Thrawn 7 stars. I haven't touched them since, with the exception of Ezra. Yeah. They will be a priority down the road at in-game for ships. Rebels are pretty strong for me as far as how many I've unlocked. You get a ton of these from events, and so I've unlocked a lot of these guys. Most of them are like Gear 7, Gear 8, because that's kind of where they die. It's hard to get them past that. Only a couple have gotten past that. Obi-Wan is, Han Solo is, R2 is, and that's about it. And eventually I'll take some of them up. Resistance is crap. I haven't had a chance to focus on them, and they're not high priority right now. Rogue One, surprisingly, is pretty awesome. Yeah, 5 star and above, basically, except for Jen. She's almost 5 star. And I have 5, so I can do that node, the Rogue One node. Cassian and K2SO are for the ship. Scarif and Bistan are for the ship. And then Jen, she's all right. I think with this lineup of 5, even after they're 7 star and geared up, I'm going to probably need, if I'm going to use them without turret and bays, and that just might happen, I would probably need a Zeta on both Jyn and Cassian for territory battles, because Cassian gives them every encounter, gives them protection up, and Jyn, they regenerate protection. So between the 2 of those, I think this team could do it for sure. I've seen people do it. Scoundrels, that's kind of a blended mix. There's quite a few in here that are all right. So let's go to, Separatists is trash, except for my Geos. Sith, just Emperor Palpatine and Vader. Sith Empire is nothing. Oh, Sith Marauder. Okay, woo-wee. Smuggler is a good one because you get event stuff. You get, so my problem is I need them 5 star so I can get 5 dot mods, because the 3 stars give you 3 dot mods, the 4 stars give you 4 dot mods, and the 5 stars give you 5 dot mods. So they give you like 100,000 credits, so the credits are worth it, but that's about it. So I really got to get these guys 5 stars. Han Solo's obviously carrying this team when I play. Kira as the leader, she does pretty good. L3 and young Han Solo are both, they're, all right. Lando, I really got to get, he's only 2 stars, so he doesn't even get to participate yet. Got to get him to 3 stars to participate and 5 stars, but he's not high on the priority list. for that. I think I should be able to get Chewie 5 stars pretty soon too. And that's about it. So there's my characters and character development. Pretty good. Let's see what questions that we have. Do I use Jolie in Arena? That's Ben Parker asking that. And actually, we have a lot of questions it looks up. But I do not use Jolie in Arena yet, and the reason is my Thrawn is better than Jolie right now as far as like offense and defense, so it's important to kind of make sure I'm able to climb in all of that. Marty says, do you have a lot of issues with cheaters in the arenas, and do you report them? Yes, there's always cheaters, and you always should report them both in-game and to CG_Lucifer's daddy in the forums. He'll get on it, so that's good. McTweet says, I never get to watch in its entirety these streams because it always goes while I'm at work, but you watch them later. So McTweet's out later. McTweet, thanks for chiming in. Then I see, what is the best Millennium Falcon Rebel fleet on defense? And if it's strictly just Rebel, so we're not using the, the Houndstooth, it's going to be Biggs, Biston's U-Wing, because it goes stealth. Biggs is the tank, which forces them to hit the tank, and then your Han's Millennium Falcon, which will go and put his buff up that prevents him from being targeted. With your shooting out a turn underneath Akbar, you're going to get a ton of protection up, and you can target lock and stuff too. So your Biggs can actually target lock on his basic. So that's a really great one if you're not using any others. Let's see. Veers is very useful in Arena.
Francois Brown, yes, we are looking for more people in the guild, and I'm glad that Dalthazir got a hold of you and was able to get that figured out for you. I saw that pop up out of the corner of my eye, but just haven't had a chance to get to it yet, so looks like you might be covered, and hope to see you there. What was some more down the line here? You farm gear out of the guild store. Well, of course, there's moments for that, but really, as we always say, leave about 450 in there for seed. You want to be able to pick up your Ewoks or maybe your Jenner or so, or the ones that only drop in that particular store. So it's nice to always have that as a backup when they pop up, because it's always random and always whenever you don't have the right amount of currency. So just try and plan for that if you can. Matt Garcia wants to know from us, might be too much information, but for me is a morning shower side chat.
Oh my gosh. Oh no. So
Smoke them all you got? No.
So I've been really hyper focused on Carbantes. I've actually paused some of my farming of characters on a daily basis to try to get as many Carbantes as possible. I know I get them for free, but it's important. And so the cool thing is with Jolie, when you do have to farm some hard nodes. So I do farm Jolie. And it gives you Mark III Carbantes at the same time, which is really great. A lot of times it doesn't give you Jolie, it gives you an extra amount of Carbantes, and you're like, whatever, I'll take it. That's, if I can get one or the other, I'm happy. So I'm pretty happy about that. And then, of course, I'm going for Ship's Node.
That's that 6 of one, half a baker's dozen of the other,
Yeah, for sure. And then these I absolutely don't need, but it drops them. And then this one again, I don't need. I wish the gear was a little better in here, but I got one node for him. So looks like we're going to do some mod stuff. So that'll be fun. Why don't you catch the comments and stuff, and I'm going to work on mods.
Always an interesting topic, because I think that's something that people feel like, okay, cool, I got an idea about it. And then they go and look at their mods, and all of a sudden everything just goes haywire in their brain because just too much information at once, and it's back to the video again.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, hey, Andrew Cox, morning. How you doing?
What up, brother?
Let's see here. Oh, I've had old Daka dropping the Bronzium packs at least 4 times. James Ferris. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I don't know if it's shard related or how they end up going about that, or if it's just RNG or what, but it's interesting that specific characters seem to drop regularly for each person and then a different set of 3 for somebody else. Wonder if there's anything behind that, but they don't fix any of that. They can't make any of that happen. It's all RNG, right? Ian Veldas, Warrior, I've been using the Millennium Falcon at 5 stars for a while now, and it's doing okay. Should I prioritize farming the necessary ships to get to 7 stars? It's tough with so much else to farm. Indeed.
Yeah, so where's that? Okay, so I've been using the Millennium Falcon at 5 stars. That's great, and it's doing okay. Should I prioritize farming those ships to 7 stars? Yeah, you're so stretched, so thin. It's really tough. I would get the characters kind of passively to 7 stars, gear 8, and then once you have them 7 stars, gear 8, then focus on their ships and farm their ships. Take a pause and farm their ships. The thing that sucks about 2 of those characters is you actually have to farm their ships in nodes where you're farming every character. So like the ships are now competing with characters on character nodes, and that sucks. So I get you because I'm in the same boat. I'm just like, bleh, I haven't even done it. And I need Han's Millennium Falcon to at least 5 stars. So I'm in the same boat as like, do I focus on it yet or not? And for me, the answer was no, not yet. But for you, you've just got to decide how close are you to other goals. Always keep in mind SWGOH events org or .com or whatever. Just type in swgoh or events dot whatever, and it will pull up. It'll be the first search, and see what's kind of coming down the pipeline over the next like 6 weeks. And when you see something that's coming down the pipeline, then you can kind of make sure you're focused on getting that next achievement. You're always looking at unlocking stuff, right? Because if you unlock BB-8 at 5 stars or unlock R2-D2 at 5 stars, you can gear them passively forever now, and that's important. So if you don't have them, you can't do anything with them. So it's better to unlock them. Now, some of it requires 7 stars like JTR, so you have to just hyper focus on those characters for a short period of time and only do those characters. And if you're in one of those grinds to try and get something 7 stars, then you kind of need to hyper focus on it. Eden, by the way, dumped $5 into us. Thank you very much. I appreciate the donation. It says, I love following the series. Mostly I do so in replay, so it's nice to finally catch you guys live. Well, very cool, Eden. It's awesome. I'm going to keep going through the store and then go into mods. You can continue to do the questions.
Glad to have you, Eden. Let's see. I think there's another question above that I can skip that on, but I think you already answered why you don't use Jolie for Squad Arena. Oh, and everybody's asking, how do you spot cheaters? Well, I do know for me, sometimes you can get to a point where you go into a battle, you throw 3 or 4 teams at somebody, and you just can't walk through them, and they're just crazy fast, and they just womp right through you. That's usually a situation where they got that team good and dialed in. They've got good mods for them. If you go and check out the speed on their leader, especially if you're going up against any of the Revan teams, that's kind of a given. That's something that you can't really argue against. But
I can answer that easily.
one of the ways that you can actually spot it, and I know that I've done this before, is going up against somebody in Grand Arena. I can go and check them out beforehand before I set my teams and see what, how many Gear 12 characters they have, what their GP is, what their ships look like. And sometimes you'll notice in there they've got a 7-star Thrawn that's Gear 12 and Zeta and all that. Well, that's all well and good, but I noticed that you only have 4 of the 5 Phoenix, or you've only got all of your Phoenix up to 4 and 5 stars. So how could you possibly have gone through the Thrawn event to get a 7-star Thrawn when you don't even have the characters required to actually get them? That's usually a surefire way to find somebody. Or if you see a particular team in your shard, kind of like with Warrior when he's starting out new, you can see a team that's full of these characters that are straight geared out and tricked out, and you go and look into there and find out that they don't have the characters required for the ones they have up there. That's usually a pretty quick way to find a cheater.
For me, really, it's like what cheaters can do is they can give themselves unlimited damage in an event, and they can unlock. So all they need is like the star level to be able to play, right? That's the ticket to play the event. And so they'll just basically pay to unlock the characters and gear them up superficially to like gear 4, 5, 6 with what they have in their inventory. And then they get like a JTR on that, and you're like, no, you didn't do it with all the abilities at level 3. And so they unlock the good characters, what they then put in their effort in. But a bigger way is when you're in Arena, everyone's gear 11 with really good mods and abilities maxed out, and everyone's struggling. And then this guy comes through, whip, 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 bouncing all the way to number 1. And that person in number 1, has like gear 8 and 9 characters. They're missing mods. They have health mods with no speed, and they're beating people in like 60 seconds because you're refreshing and seeing them skip up another 5 or 6. And you're like, are you kidding me? He just won in 60 seconds, and he jumped that high with that team, beating Darth Revans. No, that's not even possible. So some of it's really, really obvious.
Yeah. It's basically like being Rey, suddenly being able to wield the Force and becoming a Jedi without having to work for it. That's one of those things. It's just cheating. Let's see here. Who else we got? Barrett Clement wants to know, what would you say are the top 5 teams in the game currently? That's a little bit of a mashup there. That's changed around a bit. I do know that obviously your Darth Revan and your Jedi Knight Revan teams are obviously your top 2 at that point. Then you have CLS Rebels with as long as you have Chewbacca, 3PO, and Han combination in there, you can do a lot with that. But I would say as far as actual top 5, what has that turned into now?
For Rebels, it's CLS lead, Han and Chewie together, and then if you do it right, CLS will actually be guarded like Han is with Chewie. Those are the top 4, and then number 5, that's the top 3. That's like they're like the triumvirate of Rebels, and then I would add C-3PO in there. That's it. Absolute insanity when you add that, and then R2D2 because it shares all of his stats with the entire team and allows for that entire team to constantly cleanse themselves if you have that Zeta for cleansing. So that would be my thing. Looks like we're getting a forever spin. I might have to kill Nox and bring it back up because it looks like it's a mess. So you can keep answering questions. I'm going to try and fix this.
Pardon for a moment while technical difficulties are taken care of. Somebody asked me, am I going to be ready for the Darth Revan event next time around? Absolutely not. At this point, though, if everything stays on track, RNG, God smile upon me, I'm going to be probably headed towards a 5-star 3PO, and then I'll be able to get Jedi Knight Revan. I have still not gotten him yet. My Old Republic's been taking a beating and taking a back seat in a lot of different events, especially when Chewie was coming around. My bounty hunters were getting all the love at that point, so I managed to pull off, just by the skin of my teeth, a 6-star Chewbacca in that event, so be ready for that 7-star when he comes back around again. 3PO is going to be further on down the line for that 7-star, but hopefully Jedi Knight Revan should be a pretty easy walkthrough at that point, because I'm still kind of backdoor farming all the Old Republic, and especially Zalbar's getting all my ship energy right now, so it just all kind of depends on what you have going on at the time, what you can kind of separate out. It's nice when certain characters have extra nodes, so you can say, okay, I'm going to focus Cantina on this particular one, and then everybody else gets the rest of my regular energy, or this particular character gets the energy while somebody else gets the ship energy. So you can kind of mold and feel out your personal account and see how you're doing with that and where you're at that point. Let's see, who else? Is Thrawn your secret Devon counter? Darth Revan, I'm guessing what you're going for there.
Yeah, they call him Devon. So I can't kill Darth Revan. Actually, Darth Revan teams decimate my team. I mean, the tenacity down just overrides everything. The HK throws the tenacity down bomb, and it just overrides every little bit of anything good my team has or possesses. And Bastila Fallen, it just destroys the team, and then Dreven makes a mess of my team, just destruction. No, it's
starts from here.
Yeah, and so Jedi Knight Revan is actually who I would go against, and I'll actually tell you, I'm not going to climb right now because I don't have a whole lot of room to move and stuff anyway. But so something like this, if I'm looking at a team, this is Bagamu guy. He has a Revan. He only has 1 Zeta, not like 2 or 3. So he's really powerful, but it's kind of limited in his scope. So for example, I'm not going to get buff immunity and stuff like that, which is going to hurt me because it's just his leadership. I also see a weakness. His team has an Ezra, and the Ezra is a placeholder. I'm sure of it. He's not developing him anymore, but that helps me climb. But I know why he's not developing him any further, because he's planning on putting probably General Kenobi in here to kind of complete the team, and so he's waiting to get his General Kenobi correct. This is my guess, but I'm probably right. And so he hasn't developed him any further, but that's a weakness. So what happens is I see this team, I see Jolie, right? And so I'm like, okay. So I go in here, he marks one of my characters. I hopefully survive the mark. I actually can survive the mark as long as it's not Thrawn. And then I kill Ezra once, kill him again twice. It's really easy because he's only gear 8. And then after the second time, Jolie will use the heal, and I'll kill him a third time. And then I'll, fracture either, Revan or Yoda, and I'll kill Jolie. Or sometimes I fracture Jolie before he does that first heal. Right. I'll kill Ezra twice. He stays dead. I fracture Jolie, and then I just kill Jolie. As soon as Jolie's dead, the team falls. Even if it's like 4 versus 3. Now they do a lot more damage than my team does because of their Revan and his boosts and stuff. So it's a mess. But the good news is Yoda is really squishy, and his Yoda doesn't have a Zeta, so he doesn't get all that additional turn meter and foresight, which is super annoying. And mine it does. So really, this team like here, I could easily beat this Revan team. I have beat this team. So there's that. Another team is like Darth Ilis. He actually has a payout after mine, so I guess we could do that. Because yeah, I'm confident he's got a payout like far after mine. Let me double check though. Yeah, consult the list. I'm trying not to. I've got one guy that's got the payout the same time as me, and we kind of agreed, since there's 4 of us at the same payout, that we'll all just kind of avoid each other, and then when we get into the top 20, it's like, just pick a different spot in the top 20. So, and if we can't do that, we'll all just be in top 50, and we'll pick different spots in top 50, but like, don't hit each other. Cause if we do that, we'll just create this like animosity. And that was just an agreement we all made. We have a guy that he doesn't care. He snipes me. I'll climb into the top 20 and then he smacks me back, and it's fine, whatever. Because now I know that he's going to do that. I'll do that back. So it's fine. Yeah. And so, yeah, his payout is not for like 12 hours. So we can do this. This is a team, very powerful, Gear 12, double Zeted, Emperor Palpatine. And the truth is, I want to take away Thrawn and put in Jolie. I'm at that cusp. I'm almost there, but not quite. So I'm keeping him because there's so much control with Thrawn. Thrawn is he's truly the best plug and play character in the game. So I normally resist most of that, and the reason is because I have that extra tenacity from the lead. Obviously I normally have some debuffs at this time on Thrawn, and that's all right, but we're going to go ahead and hit everybody, and then normally they have Basileus Fallen by this time in this team, and they don't on this. So first priority is actually Emperor Palp, but if it's not, it would be Basileus Fallen. And I'm going to try to remove Turn Meter, which I did, and then I'm going to prime up Yoda, which he's going to then do a ton of damage and potency down, and then I'm going to call to assist Yoda, which is going to be the end of Palp, and then we're going to move over now. TIE Fighter Pilot's annoying, Tarkin is annoying, and then Thrawn is annoying, but I'm going to go ahead and put potency down on TIE Fighter Pilot. No, I'm actually going to spread my love. I don't know why I almost didn't do that. And then I'm going to do the mass attack on the TIE Fighter Pilot because he gets that annoying foresight. He's gone. And then I'm actually going to fracture their Thrawn, and then we're going to come over and we're going to take out Tarkin. Check that out. Tarkin only landed 2 of his debuffs. Potency up and potency down side by side. That's awesome. We're going to get rid of his potency up. And let's try and put him on timeout. We did. Let's take away his turn meter. We did. Let's put some retribution. And we could give anyone a turn. In fact, if my General Kenobi's looking weak, I could throw some more protection on him, but I'm going to give it to Yoda simply because Yoda's churning through this team pretty fast. So we're going to go ahead and kill him. Oh, almost. There we go. Then we're going to come over here. We're going to kill Thrawn. I always leave Darth Vader for the last because Darth Vader is truly only good if his buffs are there, and it takes till the end of battle for him to even apply buffs really on this team. He's ability blocked. He's stunned. Has no protection basically. So at this point, this is kind of a done deal. Yep, we'll do a special. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. If there was Basileus Fallen, I take a little more damage, but all in all, it's not too bad. So yeah, there's a pretty good battle. Alivar has got a really interesting team. He's running those Imperial troopers. What's funny about that team is that's actually a phenomenal team, but it just happens to be weak against Bastila. So it's a really easy climb for me. I'll tell you one that's really, really hard is Firmus Pete. This guy in the middle, he's running a double Zeta Revan, and he's actually using Old Republic. And this Old Republic team is really annoying. When he puts a Zeta on mission, it's going to be game over because this team is extremely durable. And, it's like if you're going to spend the money on the characters, you might as well use them kind of thing. So I think it's interesting. Obviously, he has a tougher time with like the purebred Revans and Darth Revans, but it's for all of us that have non-Revan teams. It's insane. I went against it and it smoked my team in less than a minute. I was like, wow, his mission was hitting me for 35k a shot. She was one-shotting my characters after that protection was gone. So pretty crazy.
Demoralizing.
Yeah, for sure. And then ships, you'll see in Fleet Arena, you'll see there's a lot of, everybody's running the Houndstooth and the Imperial TIE Fighter. And we have one Millennium Falcon. This is actually the only person that has Han's Millennium Falcon. And that's a very powerful team that he's running. So we'll just do one battle. I don't want to hit too many people. By the way, I'm using my Houndstooth. It's doing pretty good now. Biggs works well. And if I switched over to Akbar, I would have a faster capital ship. I would have a lot more protection regeneration. I would have the ability to put advantage up. I would have the ability for regenerative protection. I'd have a lot more mass attacks. And if I put Biggs in, I'd have 3 rebels in the background. So truth is, because I actually don't need the Chimera's ultimate, I should probably switch over and start using Akbar's capital ship for this team. But because Akbar happens to be way lower developed ship-wise and character-wise and stuff, I just go ahead and use the Chimera. But Akbar has a better heal than Chimera, and there's just a bunch to that. So I need to continue to develop Akbar's ship. I really do, because he's being a little bit neglected. You can see in here, obviously, Akbar is actually even below Tarkin. Look at that. I got a 6-star Tarkin and only a 5-star Akbar and 5-star Thrawn. And the abilities are at level 4 and 6, and over here 4 and 3. So Akbar's got a pretty good development plan, but I use the tank in the background. It's pretty nice. He gets extra tenacity when he comes in, makes it a little bit harder. Are there any questions really quick? Let's see. Barrett asks, what would you say are the top 5 teams in the game? I would say Rebels, Night Sisters, Jedi Knight Revan, and Darth Revan. And what did I say? Rebels, Night Sisters, Revan, Darth Revan, and who am I missing?
Is a new Padme team?
Oh yeah. I'm Padme. Those are the top 5. Yeah, Padme's team. Sorry, I can't believe I almost missed that.
Too fresh in the mind.
I know, right? And then let's see, how do you find your shard chat? They actually found me. I kept hitting people at the wrong time, apparently. And they were like, all right, well, either we're going to target Warrior or we're going to ask him to come in. And they just asked me to come in. But you can find him on the forums. There's a lot of people on the forums and stuff. So pretty cool. Let's see. I have Thrawn at 17K and CLS at 20K with IBAT Zeta. Otherwise, I am using the same team you are in Arena. Should my 5th slot be Thrawn or CLS in my Basti team? Thrawn gives you more control. CLS gives you more damage. So if you find yourself just not able to chew through people quite fast enough, I would use CLS. And if you feel like you need a little more control, I would do Thrawn. Thrawn is just such an amazing control piece. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do a battle.
Sat here and talked about it long enough. Let me just go ahead and wait till the last minute here to just chew through this team real quick, right? Let's see here. There was a couple other questions. It's funny how people can get that the @warrior with the orange around it there. It's a pretty nifty trick. I got to figure out how to do that so I can tell other people, because I'm still clueless as to how you @.
Remember, guys, when you're going against Bosk, he regenerates an insane amount of protection and health, but if you stun him, once he's stunned, he's an easy kill. I'm going to show you again. I've shown people this before, but Bosk, you need to stun. It really, really, really does help. Once he's stunned, you can do that damage straight to health, and you can kill him. So, and hopefully you call the assist. See, straight to health damage. Then we're going to do this triple shot, straight to health, straight to health, straight to health. Again, stun him. Stunning is the key against Bosk. A lot of people don't realize how easy Bosk is to kill. Even a Gear 11 or Gear 12 Zated or double Zated character, surprisingly. I'm going to go ahead and not waste the special. I'm just going to do a basic, and I called the assist. That's good. Is this Biggs or Wedge? Biggs. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go after this one because he's got the AoE, and I'm going to... Well, I got a guy on my main leaderboard that actually uses Wedge in the front 3, and he does it to try and trick us because we think it's Biggs, so we go after the Wedge, and then all of a sudden his Biggs comes in. Right. Let's do a massive shot, 50K on a tank. That's not too bad. And then I could bring in another Rebel, or I could bring in Bosk. Why don't we bring in Bosk? He grants all allies additional tenacity when he comes in, so that's kind of cool. And this should be it if he calls an assist. Or it doesn't even need to call an assist. Very cool. Yep, very cool.
Let's see. I think we have a few more in here. Somebody corrected is that Piet, I guess, is a name of an admiral from episode 5 and 6. I have to go back and it's been a little while since I've seen those. Might have to go back and refresh myself a little bit to see if that one actually gets mentioned or not. I don't recall it, but I thought that was interesting. I was like going, yeah, it's an interesting name to or an interesting way to spell Pete, but unless he's talking about like Pete Moss or something.
Yay!
Is it Omega?
Yeah.
Everything else is just extra gear at that point. I am getting a little tired of seeing those pop up to the point where it's like, all right, 4,500 of those, cool.
The tack challenge is the most worthless challenge in the game. I don't understand why they won't come in here and change these to a Mark 5 stun gun.
Oh,
change
no way they would
change this to a Mark 9. Change this to a Mark 6 power cell. Change this to a Mark 3 med pack. Change this. This could stay the same, but maybe have a chance at the other side of this dropping. That would be cool.
Then we can start having money grow on trees. Cocaine wouldn't be bad for you. I mean, come on. It's fun to dream here, isn't it? Let's see. How do you find shard chat? I got that one. I answered that. Let's see. Matt Garcia wants to know. He says, my Akbar is level 83, 7-star, gear 9. So it's better if I just stick with Akbar over Thrawn capital ship?
Probably. So if you are winning before the other team's ultimate, you always want to go offensive, and that would be Akbar. If you find yourself getting to their ultimate and possibly losing to their ultimate or having a problem and possibly facing the other team's ultimate on their ship, then you definitely want the Chimera, because that means you want to have ultimate to ultimate and you want to try and at least have the best ultimate available to possibly win. Earlier on, I was facing their ultimate. I was having to survive the ultimate on their ship, and if I survived, then I would go and do my ultimate, and that would help me win. So I needed Chimera, but now I don't need Chimera. In fact, like I said, at this stage in the game, I would actually be better off with Akbar. It's just Akbar's not as developed as Chimera, so I've kind of not switched, but I do need to continue to develop my Akbar for sure, because that is actually the better capital ship for me. And yes, if yours is higher developed, you should probably use it. Unless you're hitting their ultimate and losing to their ultimate, and in that sense, you need to switch to Chimera probably.
And if, and maybe if, but just keep in mind if. Let's see. Bing Skymaster wants to know, could you do a video on mods in regards to speed priority if you had every tune? Obviously, DKR, Darth Knight Revan? Team first, then Jedi Knight Revan next. What about after? Well, we did have a good section on how to specifically search out your mods in the last live stream, and a couple of the commenters were nice enough to put a timestamp on that. So if you were to go back to, was it week 18? Yeah, they have a timestamp on that. We can go through, and it gives you a real in-depth guide on how to search through your mods and look for specific attributes of what you want to be able to put on each character. So just as some food for thought there. He's also got some other great mod videos as well. There's a few ads in here that get hidden because they're not all bright and shiny for me. Ooh, shiny object.
You just have to read them all.
Yeah. Oh, question. Yeah, let's see. And I guess Arnold T101 has a vid about that specific topic he's asking about too. So lots of options out there. Matt Garcia again. My shard doesn't have Thrawn capital ship. This will be the first time he comes around. Oh, okay. So if you're not coming up against him, then yeah, again, Akbar is still the way to go at that point. And it looks like somebody else is trying to answer the question for the previous guy, asking if General.
Oh my gosh!
Somebody was asking if General Kenobi is a better addition to a Padme team or a better addition to a Revan team. And of course, Revan I think would be your first choice because you probably already have him, whereas Padme is further down the road. And if you're not developed to that point to actually have her at that point, then Revan all the way. But when you had the two to pick from,
actually, Joe, you can use what the heck is the tank? That nobody likes.
Sith Trooper?
No, from Old Republic. The lady, what's her face? I can't think of her name. No, Old Republic female tank. Jahani, yeah, thanks. I was having a mind blank too. Jahani is both Old Republic and Jedi, and so she actually gives even more speed to the team than General Kenobi. She taunts annoyingly. She goes under stealth. If you have her Zeta, she'll regenerate not only the health but the protection as well. And then come back to life, and then she'll taunt again, and you'll target her, and then she'll go under 100% and go stealth, and then she'll go back up and regenerate, and then she'll taunt again, and you'll have to. And she has the longest taunt in the game, so she's almost better with the Jedi Knight Revan, and that frees up General Kenobi to have his unique synergy. Something a lot of people actually, let me do it really quick, don't even realize is the rework. A lot of people don't pay attention to all the little caveats of the rework, but like lead the charge is a mass attack, right? And this is a really important mass attack. If he happens to be with those characters like Snips and Anakin, it says, he deals physical damage. He grants offense up for 2 turns and calls all other buffed allies. That's everybody basically. And then they all deal 30% less damage. We all know that. But after the rework, it says Jedi Knight Anakin and Ahsoka Tano are not affected by that damage penalty. So this is just one little thing that's in there, that's built in synergy, kind of baked in synergy for him to just naturally work better with that team. And so I actually would really highly recommend using General Kenobi with that team. The other thing is this Zeta right here. If you're in Jedi Knight Revan teams, this is kind of a moot point, but if it's in a fully Galactic Republic team like ones we're just talking about, he's going to incessantly taunt. Why? Because there's like 3 characters putting protection up, and then when they lose any of that protection up, which is going to be on like everybody, he's going to taunt, which means if they get crit or if they lose any protection, which both are going to happen incessantly, means he's going to forever taunt, basically. This creates him into a forever taunt. They don't have a choice. They have to deal with him or put buff immunity or something, but they've got to deal with him. This is a really great Zeta. In fact, I just did that Zeta yesterday night on the way home from work. I was like, click, and finally got his Zeta on that unique. So yeah.
Or unless you're like me, where your your arena team is all Jedi and none of them have the Galactic Republic tag on them. So that's a Zeta that's way down the road for me because my Galactic Republic is nothing special. Ooh, always love more speed. Oh, and that extra 0.5% protection, you needed that. You so needed that.
Well, so my idea with Jolie Bindo, and I think everyone knows this, is health set, health set, health set. And then, of course, up top left is offense. I saw tenacity on this, so I thought, okay, good, tenacity, that's good for him. On this one, it's always defense. It had speed. It did have health, rolled a couple of times, and then had a lot of protection. 5% protection is actually amazing for a secondary stat. And then this one was health primary with protection and defense. Defense is good for him, but look at that, 14 speed. He needs speed, so that's good. This one has 13 speed. Now, it has 1% health. This is really should be a health primary. I need it to be a health primary, but when I look at my, let's go health with health primary, I won't even do speed. We'll just look at health with health primary. That's it. Right here. This is it. This is the only one in the entire game. Now, actually, I haven't rolled it, so let's see what is actually on this bad boy. Oh, protection, tenacity, and speed. I can't believe I didn't do this earlier. So yeah,
let's just find out. Oh, everything you need.
I know. I should really follow my own advice more often. I get sidetracks too, but this is how you find it. But I think the last time the reason why I didn't find it was I was scanning for health with speed secondary, and there was nothing. Or this is new and I just slapped it on him. I can't figure out which, but let's go ahead and roll it up and then let's slice this. I've got plenty of the slicing. Speed. Oh, crit chance. Stupid. I only need one more of this. Man, I don't really want to use 100 for that. Yeah. Should I do it?
That's down to the wire right there. I mean,
yeah, I'll leave it alone. We'll cut it up in a little bit, but at least I now know I've got a health with speed on it. Now, this is the thing. The one that's on him now is 13 speed, and I don't want to take it off. Yep, I don't want to take it off unless I can, get that speed to pop a couple times on that other one. But long story short, it's hard to find. And then this one, here we go, health with 18 speed. Dude, it only rolled speed and health. Tell me this is not the perfect mod for him. Health primary, health set with speed and health rolling. Really.
19 after that 6E.
Yep, exactly. And then this one was a health primary with speed secondary, protection secondary, and then, of course, stupid crit chance. I don't need that for him. So whatever. But, he's doing okay. He's at 175 speed. I'm really needing to get him over 200 speed. And then I need to get his health to about... it was not going to happen for a while, but I need to get it to about 40,000, and then eventually in game I need to get it between 50 and 60,000. But I'm not too worried about the 50 and 60,000 yet. I just need to get his health pool as high as possible. I can do that obviously by switching this one to a health primary right here. So hopefully this bad boy rolls. I really do hope that rolls. Let's look and see what mods I have in my thing. Let's sell any non-5 dot mods. Let's just get rid of those. And then keeping in mind, a lot of people don't know how to sell the white mods. They don't know like which white mods they should sell. And we know the arrows, the triangles, and the pluses are rarer as a drop. And the whole left side drops incessantly. So I'm going to pick the left side only. Those are the left 3 mods. And those stats are always kind of the same. And I don't have the money to roll every mod in my thing. I just can't. Can't. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually sell these. Why? Because it doesn't really matter what they are. Because I don't have the credits to see. So we're going to get rid of those and I'm going to sell those. You can also go into the greens if you want. And if you see something that is kind of silly, like a speed mod with defense, you're like, man, I don't think I want it. You could take it and you could sell it. You're going to get some extra credits for this. And the extra credits are going to let you roll the ones that you actually know about that you have speed. So first off, we're going to go to filter and we're going to go unassigned mods. And we're just going to do speed secondary. We're going to confirm that. And then we're going to go sort and we're going to go down to speed secondary. I'm doing speed today because I have a little bit of credits and I want to roll a few of these, but you can see everything should be at least to level 12. 12 tells me what all of its stats are, aka what are its upgrades going to be, and then I can decide whether it's a good mod or not. So I'm looking for anything that's not at 12, so that way I can roll it to 12 to see what it is. So here's a speed mod with a speed secondary. That sucks. So we're going to keep going because I don't really want defense on a speed set. That's one actually that you could sell, even if it rolled. Yeah. Maybe down the road when I have more credits, I can roll that one. I've got a few at 9, which means that they have high speed 4, 4, 4, 4, and those 4s might pop. So why don't we do that? Let's upgrade to 12. This is 48,000 credits to C. Offense popped. That's not bad. Let's go. These are good. We're going to go to 12, get the extra pop, see if we get any speed to pop. Potency, no. I know. But these are my best chance mods at getting more speed. So you just got to roll them to see, So here we go. Here's 12. And I'm getting nothing. That's okay. This happens to everybody. Okay, this one has 4 speed. We're going to do 9 to discover what else is on this mod. And potency, tenacity, protection. Okay. And then we're going to go to 12 to see if the speed pops. Of course not. And then we're going to keep moving down 12s, 12s, 12s. Here's a 1, 3 speed. So we're getting into the kind of the crappier secondary speeds. We're going to go ahead and go 6 because that'll show us what our stats are. What's on here? It's a speed mod. And then 12 is going to let it roll twice. So hopefully speed rolls twice. It doesn't because it's stupid. Let's see, what else do we have? We've got a 6 here. Let's roll that one to 12. Boy, it's a bad day for speed, I tell you. Oh, there's a 5 speed. I got crit chance in speed. So I got 8 speed on a blue. That's okay.
Into existence.
Yeah, that's actually okay. That's not terrible. Let's keep going. You know, some days are like that though, right? You'll roll all your mods, you get nothing. The other day I was doing this, and every mod I rolled like 7, and 6 of them popped speed secondary, and I was like, oh, what is going on? I wish I had this recorded. But it's just the way it works, right?
Yes.
I know. Okay, so health and crit
Tomorrow,
chance.
Screw it, there's no speed.
All right, come on, give me speed. Give me speed. 6. Yeah, really, really crappy. We're getting into the low level crappiness of these, because these are all like 3. I'm sure of it. Yeah, 3, 3, 3. And that's the lowest you can get on a 5. Mod is 3. So these are really the worst. That's why I haven't rolled them yet, because I'm just like, I don't want to spend the energy on them. But I used 600,000 credits to find out I had nothing. Let's look at ships, see what's glowing. I've got a Slave 1 thing glowing. It's his reinforcement. He's actually 4 reinforcements, so we'll go ahead and upgrade that ability.
It's no longer in that primary slot.
Yep, for sure. And then that's it for ships. And then let's see, there's a bunch of stuff kind of glowing here. I don't see any gear for anybody. I don't see any gear needed, so it's probably just ability mats. I don't have a whole lot of ability mats left. I used most of them. So I'm guessing there's only, 5 left.
Got a couple questions here. Let's see. Got to do a quick shout out. See a couple of my guild mates in here. Hey, Napus. Hey, Doll. How you doing? Thanks. Yeah, feeling good too. No. Somebody asked, and this is an interesting question because I've had a few people ask me in the past, and I didn't know how to do this, but I do have a Discord. I mean, I'm part of my guild chat and everything else, but I guess it's just at SureShot. I don't know if that's how you look for it or not.
What they're asking is, do you actually have your own Discord server, like a Warrior Presents server? Do you have your own server? Mine's private for patrons. Boy, this is close. We just need to get those fleets. We've got to get those fleets. 9 more fleets.
Somebody's asking in there, where are our fleets?
I know if we could bust that fleet and start busting out that front, we'd be able to.
Put the junk too.
Yeah.
That's where all their secondhand ships are going, I don't know, we'll see if that works. Why not? Because everybody's always got their primary up front there and then the junk left over, and then, well, maybe I got one left over I can actually attack with.
That's close.
It's kind of how it always goes for me. All right, best foot forward, secondary for maybe attacking, and then the garbage in the back there. But yeah, no, I'm not that special. I don't have my own Discord as far as that goes. Someone just noticed your... is that just Kaizen cap? Is that how you say that?
Kaizen.
Kaizen,
yeah. Kaizen cap.
That way. Do you just like sushi that much, bro?
Yeah, no. All right, so let's go to Grand Arena. Let's give my my opponent an advantage. Let's give him an advantage. I wish I could play. It's in 4 hours. Yeah, it's in 4 hours, and I might be at work in 4 hours on my one day off. My only day off. This is my 4th day off this month. I've literally gotten 1 day off a week. Normally it's Wednesday. It's why I do the live stream. So I've had 1 day off a week, and I might have to go in on my 1 day off. It's really busy at work right now. So,
but you love work, right? That's just what you live for. That's what you want to do, is give them all of your time. I mean, come on, that's what all managers do.
So I actually love my job. I really do. It's just we only have 3 people that work at the store, and when there's 3 people, everything's golden. Everything's fine. There's synergy, and everyone's happy. When
we've all got our Zetas, it all works.
Yeah, when the beginning of this month occurred, what happened was I had a guy who basically was in another career field before he came to my career field, and then he decided after about 6 months to just up and quit and go to his career field. At the same time, there was another guy that was working for me that I was already planning on firing. So I had a decision to make. Am I going to keep this guy around that should be fired for terrible performance, so I have selfishly someone to help me with the store, or do I just cover the store all by myself, open to close every day for a month while I hire and train a new person? And the truth is I had to do what was right, and that was get rid of him, because that's what was best for the company. That was what was best ultimately for his development. He was working for his father's company anyway on the side on his days off, and he was just not committed anymore to us. And he needed the kind of that push to go and work for his dad full time. But he wasn't doing his job. Ultimately, he was literally not doing anything. He needed to be fired 6 months ago, but I was, I'm very patient with people. I give them a lot of second chances and like, let's keep developing you. Let's keep developing you. And ultimately I had to fire him. So I kind of put myself in the situation by letting him go, but it was the right thing to do for the company, for everyone. It was the wrong thing to do for me selfishly because I needed somebody to help me. But I'm going to make a lot of money this month, so that's good. But yes, ultimately I've had to work the entire month by myself, hired a new person. She's in training. Next month I'm hiring another person. They'll be in training. But while they're in training, I have to be there. So I still have to work basically every day. So it's really, it is rough, but once they get up and running and we get staffed, life will be fine again. Because the job is fun. I love Sleep Number. It's just when staffing's not good, life is hell. In addition to that, I don't know why, but the mattress industry hijacked Memorial Day and Labor Day. And for some reason it's Memorial Day coming up and we hijack it for a sale. So it's just really busy at work, in addition to being understaffed. So there's that. So I'm going against Shadow Undoose. I would almost want to say Shadow Undies, but yeah. And he's got the second highest galactic power of everybody. And this is a ships one, so my ships count against me. So I'm a bit nervous about this. But when we clicked on him, his ships are medium developed and his inventory doesn't look super scary. He does have Night Sisters, which scares me a little bit because Night Sisters are tough for me. They
variety there.
Yeah, they really are. Let's go into his Night Sisters. They're really tough. The only pro that I have is his zombie isn't gear 10. If his zombie was gear 10, I'd be screwed. But his zombie's not gear 10. So I think we're all right.
Still pesky, but not a 10.
Yep. And so he actually looks, when we go to stats, he's at 707,000 galactic power. And let's see, 707. So he's over 700,000. I am 594. So he's got about 120, 110, 114, whatever, thousand galactic power more than me for characters. So for ships, I'll probably smoke him. Hopefully for ships, I stunt him. I don't know. He probably beat my ships thing and his ships will be easy. It depends on what he sets on defense, I suppose. If he sets his number one team on defense, he's just screwed. Because I have two really solid teams on ships. I have a really solid Rebels team and I have a really solid Geos team. The Geos, I only take 3. That's it. I can kill anything on offense with just my Geos. Super powerful. I can leave all my other good ships on defense. So that's good. But my ships or my characters, I'm definitely underpowered to him. So, he's got that advantage. And this is the thing with Grand Arena. He gets 3 battles to have an advantage over me, and I get only 1 battle to have advantage over him. The good news is, for this one, once you conquer it, you get 155. With this one, you conquer it, you get 210. So there's a little bit more banners for the conquering of this. So he's got an advantage because he's got more characters and he's going to get more banners. I did set my Phoenix, which is just a crappy team, but they're synergistic and they're just a solid defense team. I did set my Imperial Troopers because my Imperial Troopers have a lot of synergy. And I've actually seen this, people underestimate it. Because they see like crappy characters to the right. They're like, look at that Royal Guard. Oh. So then they go after like range. Yeah. So they go after like range trooper or snow trooper to kill them. But then, my tank taunts and then they have to hit my tank and then they're about to kill my tank. And by then all of the abilities of all of the range or all of the troopers have like started to kick in and there's all these buffs and retribution and protection. And all of a sudden the train is going and they're like, oh crap. So this is a really great defensive team for me because if they underestimate it, it can get going. I had 2 defenses and they didn't kill anything, including that crappy Royal Guard because they did exactly what I said. I could tell how they were attacking through their first attempt and second attempt, and then. Yeah, and then, of course, my top team is my top team. It's got a Zeta. This is a really good team. Dengar goes stealth. It kind of prevents the stealthing on the opposite side. I've got 3 guys who are going to do AoEs. Or 4 guys, actually. They're going to do AoEs, so we should get to payout quick. And they get protection, regeneration, and stuff. So that's a pretty solid defense team. I'm happy I put something powerful on defense, if you want to call it that. So that's there. And then what it leaves me with is my Geos, which sucks because they're my Gear 11 characters. It leaves me with my Jedi team, and then it leaves me with like a Rebel team. My Rebel team is okay because I have a Gear 10 and a Gear 9 character, R2D2's Gear 9, and my Han Solo's Gear 10. And he can kind of carry a battle if he's there with just a couple others like tanks and whatnot. So I think I have a pretty good chance with this Grand Arena, but there's a couple of guys in the Grand Arena that are really powerful. The events rewards are kind of like stupid. So, so honestly, I'm not too concerned about, losing out on the rewards. So if I don't do well, that's okay. But the ones with ships are just difficult because the ones with ships, obviously kind of they're weighted differently. And so my ships kind of hurt me because I developed them, but it sounds like they kind of want to address that. They kind of want to look into that. They want to look into your characters and the ones you haven't really developed much. They don't want those to count. I don't know if they're going to make a threshold and say anything under a certain level doesn't get counted. Because if they do that, then that would be advantageous to take everyone to that level just before where they're counting to stage them for future reference and to help with GP for territory battles, but then not count against you in Grand Arena. So yeah, what questions do we have going on? Because we're getting to almost story time. I've got a really fun story. Yeah, I've got a really fun story for you guys. So let's see what questions we have, and then after the questions, we'll go into story time.
I will say with this particular Grand Arena, though, although you gave them some insights as to why you set your teams and what he could possibly throw at them, at least with this one, they do get to see everything up front, so it's not like you're showing them any hidden teams behind the enemy lines there. So at least one benefit to that if he's paying attention, he or she. Let's see. Already got to that one. There's been a couple hanging here for a second. Platinum Gamer. If you get a mod that isn't part of a set that has high speed, should you attach that to a character as a placeholder until you can get a mod that fits into the set? Almost always, yeah.
Yes, and sometimes you have to have a placeholder forever because you just don't get a better mod. Let's go mods, and I'll show you an example of that. So, for example, Thrawn. Look at Thrawn. He has a speed set. Yay, speed set. And then he has a crit chance and a potency. That's not a set. That's not a thing. That's nothing. So obviously I would want this to be a potency speed. So if we come here, I don't think I have a potency speed I can steal, but let's try potency speed. Yeah, see, it's on him. I don't want to do that, but I do have this one. There we go. So actually I can slice it. Look at this, you guys. You're all helping me out. Oh, potency. That's not a bad thing. Let's go ahead and assign that. The thing is he doesn't need a potency set. So I think that's what I was doing. I was waiting for a better crit chance set. Actually, I'm 100% right. That's what I was doing. That's why. But look at that, 21 speed. But I was going to do crit chance because he does benefit from crit chance. He does not benefit really from potency. So kind of a pointless thing because his fracture doesn't require potency. His ability block, his speed up that turns to ability block does not need it. So he really doesn't need potency. So this is a wasted set, but at least whatever, I'm giving him a set bonus. So there's that. He does get some more potency, which is pointless. His protection went up. So that's good. His damage went down a little. His crit chance went down a little. His armor went up. So I guess that's a thing. That's a thing. All right. What are the questions?
Somebody mentioned or asked if we could give them the 4-minute warning so they have a chance to make popcorn before story time. So 4-minute warning. I would say you're just safe to have it ready to go anyways. Yeah, go ahead and get that popping.
5 minutes.
Let's see here. Who else do I got? Somebody already... Well, yep. I know speed is a top priority, but in a perfect world, which mod set should Jedi Knight Revan run? Perfect world. He's always a leader, so it doesn't really matter at that point. Just always speed across the board. Get him into that 300 range.
Yeah, he's definitely going to benefit on that team for speed. You need him. He's the guy that needs speed on that team. The rest, like your Yoda doesn't need speed. He needs offense. Jolie doesn't need speed. He needs health. So a lot of the others focus on differing stats, but Revan's speed, period. Ethan donated $5. Thank you, brother. He said he's able to catch it, but he won't be here long because of work. Hopefully you're long enough for story time. Any other quick questions?
Story time. No. Vader Nation said finally made it to a stream. Glad to have you. Stinger Gaming. Who would you recommend to Zeta first if needed for the Malik event, Zalbar or Mission? I think you already answered that.
Yeah, Mission for sure, because Mission Zeta, she takes all those extra turns, which equates to extra damage, and you need that extra damage, and then you want to put tons of offense on her, like stack her with as much offense as possible. My brother puts a little dude with eyeglasses. He'll love the story that's coming up. It doesn't directly relate to him. I think he got to participate a couple of times, but he'll know the story, but he may not have participated as many times as I did in what's about to be told. So that's funny. Matthew Garcia. That's right. Story time requires hat back. Hat back. Okay, Sniper Duck. How do you organize farming and gear with so many favorites? My priorities are bounty hunters, but I'm currently Darth Revan ready and want to prepare my Sith. So I did talk about this earlier just for a minute. So I was farming all my characters, the rarity, the stars, because I really wanted to get them up, and I was just dropping gear whenever gear was glowing that I was getting from things. And I actually have had some really good drops. In fact, if you follow me on Twitter, I try to put anytime, I get stuff from raids, if it's good stuff. I don't always post it, but I try to post, when I get a fully crafted Carbonti and a fully crafted stun gun and like crazy stuff like that, you're like, woo woo, definitely post that, show people up. But like General Kenobi, I really want General Kenobi in my arena team, and he is, but he's really my weak link right now. And so I've been hyper focused on him this week, just doing nothing but farming for like those Carbontis. And I have had a couple Carbontis drop, thank the Lord. I got a fully crafted Carbonti in Bronzium. What? Yes. The full thing, not a salvage, an actual full one. That happened. That happened. It does happen. And that happens like 1 out of every million that you purchase. So pretty awesome. But I'm hyper focused on General Kenobi to get him to the next gear set. When you're trying to distribute gear to this many people and you're using energy, you kind of have to pick, like today. If anybody watched the stream earlier, if you watched the stream, what did I do? Did I farm Bosk? Did I farm Django? No, I didn't. I didn't farm anybody except for Jolie, and I did that after the fact. All I did was go after General Kenobi's Carbontis, and I got it all the way up to 39. Yet another stun cap. Yeah, and so I only need 11 more. I'll get the 11. I'll get the 11 tomorrow. So I'll have him tomorrow to gear 10. So that's good. And then I don't know what will glow when we hit gear 10. Hopefully when we hit gear 10, it's just a bunch of glowing. Probably not, but I hope so. Okay, and then let's see. What did you think about the Newt rework? Decent. He's better as a unique than a leader, in my opinion. His unique is awesome, and I think you can throw him in with General Grievous, and he makes for a good fifth instead of like the IG 100. Who I don't think you necessarily need. And then Jib says, would you have done Ahsoka instead of Consular for GMY Unlock if the redo had occurred? Honestly, that's actually super smart because she has a ship. She has synergy with characters you need to get anyway. She's easy to farm, actually easier to farm than Jedi Consular. And so, yes, I think had I been restarting all over again and stuff, Jedi Consular would be dropped as a priority and Ahsoka would be that priority. Neither one of them would probably make the pillar system. That would just be something I would make as a professional suggestion. So that's good. And then let's see, someone asks, do I play Borderlands? I've played Borderlands, just not recently. But that's a really fun game. And then let's see, the American Dumbass says he just hit level 60. Ship's battles seem hard. I can hardly beat the first node. Yes, you're not doing anything wrong. That is the way it starts. Everything is hellish for the first month. You've just got to make it a priority and start leveling it up. Don't underestimate the power of getting to gear 7 or 8 with your crew member, because that gear really makes that ship pop and really makes that ship do well. So there's that. And then Matthew said, "Oh snap! I remember when this was super cool to say." Haha. I'm going to be real. He said, "This is the only stream I make it to watch. Everybody else gets a playback." Pretty awesome. Okay, we are going to go into story time. So here we go. All right, you guys ready?
Stretch this one out a little bit. I stay in that position for too long.
Okay, so this is a fun story. It comes out of high school, so put you into place. It's out of high school, and I had a fair number of friends. We had about 6 to 10 individuals, guys, that we hung out with. Sometimes certain guys couldn't hang out with us at certain days, so the group varied. You know, sometimes it was the core 6, and other times we had as many as 8 or 10 hang out with us. And it was lunchtime, right? Because you know, that's the only real time you get to hang out because you know, during school, you're all in different classes in different places. So it is what it is. But during lunchtime, of course, we always wanted to like get together and go to lunch. And there's a lot of stories during lunchtime. I could tell you 100 stories. In fact, there's a number of stories that are going to come out of story time. But this one was basically not everybody had vehicles. In fact, that's another story for another day, but I had bought a brand new vehicle and totaled it the first night I owned it, trashing it over really, really fast on a back road. So that's another story for another time. But I lost my license, couldn't drive. Another individual lost their license, couldn't drive. A couple other people didn't have vehicles. And so there was one friend that had a vehicle, and we jumped in, hit the back of his truck, and then his parents saw like 8 dudes in the back of his truck, and that's illegal if you're under 18 in Colorado. So they're like, you know, yelled at him, and he's like, "We can't do it anymore. I'm sorry, guys." I'm like, "Okay, spineless guy, you're out." No. So anyway, I'm like, okay, so who has a vehicle? And my friend Jared Rick, still a lifetime friend to this day. He's a doctor now, but back then he had like this little Honda. It was crappy. It was low to the ground. It had terrible shocks, and there's 2 seats in the front and 3 seats in the back, and we're all big teenager dudes. Like, we were all working out and, you know, athletic, and so he'd hop in the front, and somebody would call shotgun and run to the front, and, you know, we'd fight over the 3 rows. The problem was our group was bigger than 5, and the car only held 5, and we all wanted to go. So when there were 6, you know, someone would like lay across the back of us, like the back 3 would like have a dude laying across our lap. But then what happens when you go to 7 and 8? Exactly. We start clown carring it, and we start jamming a bunch of people in, but it got to the point where we legit didn't even have room inside of the car. So we realized we're going to have to use the trunk. Because the trunk is legit, right? It's like a place you could store someone. So the trunk, my brother, he got it, yeah, because he's been there. So the thing is we're like, yeah, he's been in the trunk before. So like, the thing is we're like, okay, humility. Everyone has to do this. Like, this isn't fair. Everyone has to go into the trunk. We all have to do it at least once. Yep. And if we all do it at least once, and then we can rotate who's in there. But, you know, you're not too proud. Like, you can't be like, "Oh, I'm never going in the trunk," or "You're not going with us." We made that a rule. Everyone goes to the trunk. So that's hilarious. So,
keep a roster list.
Yeah.
Oh, you were in last week, so it's this guy's.
I know, right? So we're like, okay, so, you know, one person gets in the trunk and we drive them. Well, the first time we ever did the trunk, it was me. I volunteered. I'm like, "Yo, I'll be the first to go in the trunk." And they're like, "Okay, cool." You know? So Jared, we get in the car, and Jared starts the car up, and it's in the parking lot. And of course, in a high school parking lot, they do a lot of speed bumps to prevent people from going really, really fast, which is smart. And he decides this is going to not just be we all have to volunteer for it, but it's going to turn into a hazing, that we all have to be hazed, apparently, that it's like a rite of passage for everybody that is going to do this. And so it's lunchtime. I hop into the trunk. They all hop into the inside of the car. The car is flat at this point because of all the weight. Like, the shocks were already blown, but we were scraping like a low rider. I mean, literally, he hit a bump, and, you know, we could hear the bottom of the car smash the concrete. And he decides, screw it, I'm going to ruin my car. So he goes over these speed bumps as fast as he can. And I'm like, wham, 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 you know, hitting the hood of the car. I'm like, dudes, what the hell? And he's turning left and turning right, and he's going crazy. And I'm getting thrown about inside, and I can't get out of the trunk. I'm stuck in there. And this is back in the day before there was like a pull release, a safety latch. I couldn't get myself out. And he's trashing me, straight trashing me, driving around and throwing me all over the place. And we finally get to the, you know, Wendy's or Taco Bell, whatever it was we were going to, and they finally let me out. Well, there was actually a release in there. I didn't know. So I was like, dang it. So I was like, I wish I would have known that. Although what was I going to do? You know, driving chaotically jump out? That's crazy.
Right.
So we get there, I get hazed, another person does it another day, blah, blah, blah. Fast forward, I had our friend Brandon. Brandon was really, really big, lanky, tall dude, and it was his turn to get into the trunk. And of course, everyone knew that it was like a hazing that we all had to do, but he hadn't actually gone with us for a while. So he didn't fully understand the whole, like, you're going to get hazed. So
Didn't know what he's in for.
yeah. So, but he was smart. See, he was a really smart kid. So he got in and he's like, I don't trust you guys. So what he did was he looked when he got in to see where the latch was. Because he was smarter than me. And so he saw where the latch was, put his hand by it, and he was like, all right. And so he shut the door. And we did the same thing. We trashed it. We went over parking lots. In fact, we went to a whole nother parking lot in another area of town that was out of the way, just so we could hit as many speed bumps as possible while he was in the trunk. And, we're like, bam, 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 and just trashing him. It was so freaking hilarious. And we finally, get near where we're going to go eat. And we've been driving around now for like 20 minutes, just intentionally trashing Brandon. And all of a sudden we pull up to a light and Jared gets nervous. And I go, what's wrong, bro? And he goes, there's a cop behind us. And I go, oh my God, what's going on? So we're like looking behind us and there's a cop behind us. And, as cops do, they're kind of busy. He's like going through the the computer and stuff like that. But he's directly behind us on our bumper. And we're afraid he's going to see all of us in the car jammed in like a monkey group, like we're all jammed in all tight. And we're like afraid he's going to pull over high schoolers and
monkeys on wheels.
Yeah, give us all tickets, right? Or give the driver a ticket. So Jared's already freaking out. He's like, heads down. And so like, half of us have our heads down into each other's laps. This was like horribly not sexual, but disgusting. We're like trying to hide in the car.
Real quick.
And lo and behold, we're at the red light. And what do we see? The trunk pops up. The trunk pops up right in front of the cop. I'm like, what are you doing? We're like yelling at him, shut the trunk, shut the trunk. There's a cop, shut the trunk. And so he's like, clunk, shuts the trunk. We look back, the cop didn't even notice. He was on the computer, but it looked like we were kidnapping. People around us were looking at us like, what the heck? Because the trunk comes up, he like looks out, sees the cop, and then he like shuts the door, shuts the trunk. And so it's like, oh, look at that guy's getting kidnapped. But he saw the cop, and so he must not be getting kidnapped. But so then we go like another block, we park, we get out, we eat. But oh my gosh, that was hilarious. That was so much fun that day. We trashed him in that thing, but it's just funny that period of time, he just thought that we were stopped for, I don't know what, maybe we were stopped to eat or whatever, but he popped the trunk, started to get out, saw the cop. He's directly in front of the cop crawling out of a trunk. And then he's like, whoop, goes back in.
To that number 3. Oh, never mind.
Yeah. And so that was his opportunity to get hazed in the trunk. And that was a thing. We did that to everybody. In fact, we had a couple of people that said, we're not getting in that trunk. Screw that. I'm not getting in that trunk. And we said, okay, you're not coming with us. See you later. Like, it was a thing. We all had to do it, right? Because that was one of the ways of getting us all there. Yep. And then once we did it, we didn't get hazed again. Like, I sat in the trunk, I don't know, probably another 20 times that year. And they didn't haze me after that. It was just like a thing. We just, guys, I don't know what it is about us. We're like, we got to be mean to you really quick. And then once we're mean to you, if you can handle it, then you're a part of the clique. You're a part of the group. It's super funny. So
get that first concussion out of the way, and then you're all set.
Yeah. And then we have a ton of those stories from high school. I don't even know, honestly, how we survived high school. What we did back then is now totally illegal for the kids nowadays, and they would take it way more seriously. Back then, the cop probably would have been like, what the hell are you guys doing? And then would have realized what we're doing and given us like a warning, like, you guys are idiots. You guys are going to have to walk to school. Or he would have let us get in the car and he probably would have driven us back to the school. And back then, things were just a different world. Today, they probably would have thrown you in cuffs and slammed you onto the ground and, freaked out, and I don't know, tickets to everybody. But well, anyway, I really appreciate you coming on board today, hanging out, doing dailies, having a good time. Go ahead and, tell everybody kind of what your thoughts and plans are for, coming up. It sounds like you're starting to try to possibly kind of kick things off. So that's pretty interesting. So go ahead and give your goodbyes.
Well, yeah, down the pipe somewhere, there's going to be a channel. I don't know exactly when that's going to happen. I do have a friend of mine that was visiting out here who had to go back to Illinois for a little while, is officially moving out here next month. So once that happens, I'll have some extra help, and there's going to be some more collaborations going on here. So there's definitely a channel in the making. We just got to get some content built up, hopefully get it monetized, see if it's going to be worth our efforts, and then go from there. So we'll see what happens with that. Hopefully you guys might want to take a look at that when it comes up. I might throw a link on at that point when it actually becomes a thing, but look for that in the future. Hopefully something's going to happen with that. But this was SureShot.
And this is Warrior, and I appreciate everybody who's a true fan, who's watching and who watches it after the fact, even if you don't catch it live. Thank you guys for coming on. You know, a lot of people ask me, how come, you don't do a ton of other content? Well, y'all know if you're watching how busy I am. The fact that I even have this morning to do this, it's that I'm honestly too busy for YouTube. I probably shouldn't be doing YouTube, but I enjoy it. It's like if I have time, I want to connect with you guys. I want to chat with you guys. So I appreciate the true fans. And the truth is the content in the game is weak right now. There's not a whole lot for the high end, and nobody that has Revan needs to see how to beat Revan. They know how to beat Revan. So yeah, the Scissorman account is just really fresh. It's new. It's changing rapidly. My opinions and thoughts are changing, and there's a lot of little nuggets, as I call them, golden nuggets inside of here for sure. But I really enjoy this. We're thinking about possibly pulling some of the story times out and maybe making them their own standalone videos so people can kind of go back and hear them. Also the mod stuff I talked about last week, maybe cropping that 10 minutes out and making it its own video, because it's hard to figure out which live stream it came from and where it is and all of that kind of stuff. So if you guys see any of my content getting cropped out and added again, you can watch it or not, but at least you understand the purpose behind it is for all of the other 30,000 people that won't watch a live stream. It's to kind of spoon feed them this good information that you guys are getting, and the stories are fun. So anyway, as always, make sure you guys keep your gaming on. This is Warrior.
And this was SureShot.
Out.